Welcome to the exciting rebirth of Superstar, featuring choose your membership rate as low as just $3 a month. At Superstar, you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week, unlimited access to special horoscopes, class passes for Synchronicity University, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space. I look forward to meeting you there. Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of July 4th, 2021. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week. Now, right out of the gate, we have the sun in Cancer, speaking in harmony with Uranus. Now, this to me is actually part of setting the stage for Thursday's new moon in the sign of Cancer. That new moon is going to also speak in harmony with Uranus, but speak in supreme harmony with Neptune as well. And so it is the energy of Cancer that has to do with what's happening at home for all of us. Now, what home is, how you define that, is so deeply personal and up for consideration and self-consideration more than any other time in human history. So I'll give you an example, and that is the Americas, right? In the Americas, more people identify with a land as home that is not the land of their ancestors, where they may not necessarily have that ancestral physical tie to the land, and yet they feel like this is their home, this is their country. They identify with it so strongly. We see that all over the Americas with people of different ethnic backgrounds, racial backgrounds, and yet well-rooted, well-placed where they are. And so we have this very powerful but fortunate and dreamy new moon taking place, but it is the energy of the sun and Uranus that is going to set the stage. And Uranus is about freedom on the one hand, right? But it's also an energy of change, of the future, of doing things differently, of rebellion. And the sun speaking in harmony with Uranus to me is people understanding home differently. Now, whether that's a personal realization where what home was to you at one time no longer is, whether it is that you end up somewhere that feels like home to you and that ends up surprising you, or whether it is something that feels more deeply rooted. It could just be that at one time you really felt at home in a particular neighborhood or a particular city, but now your understanding of what home is to you is expanding. All of us are feeling in some way on the precipice of the very definition of home changing. Now, what that's going to mean in more practical ways, how that lends itself to new beginnings, new understandings, new chapters, that is going to reveal itself that much more fully once we get to that new moon later in the week. Now, I also want to add, one realization I had, which is sort of like one of those obvious things that is so clear, but then it reaches your heart and you realize the deeper implications. And I remember this so clearly. And it was in 2017, and I was traveling throughout Southeast Asia. I ended up going to something like 7 countries, 10 cities over the course of the summer. And I kept recording as we went along. So if you've been watching me for a while, you saw me do weekly videos from there. That was a lot of fun. And one thing I remember about that journey is how I had this moment of hearing a national anthem of one of the countries I visited. And I had this realization, like, every country has a national anthem. Every country has like things that make them feel proud of being from that country. Like, that's the point of a national anthem, is to stir pride, stir loyalty, which is why national anthems very often sound the same, like they use the similar chords. I'm not a musician, so I hope I'm saying the language right, but they'll use similar chord and chord progressions in particular as part of stirring emotion. And I contemplated and I thought about how that speaks very strongly to so many things: identity, patriotism, an understanding of where you are from, that sense of emotion being stirred for where you are from. It's universal. Like, people can feel that and do feel that all over the world, regardless of how other countries may judge other countries. All of us, in some way or another, have reasons to feel good about and to feel proud about where we come from. But also, where we come from is something that we define for ourselves more than ever in human history. So one of the things I remember being taught is that it is better to be proud of the things that you have control over versus the things that you do not have control over. And so there is one paradigm, one way of looking at things that says that we choose our incarnation and we choose the vehicle, the vessel that we come into, because it is part of what's going to help us to learn what it is that we're meant to learn in this lifetime. Part of the perfection, as I would say, part of our journey towards greater love and greater wisdom. And that's one way of seeing it. Maybe unconsciously we do choose certain things, but at least consciously speaking, we can say, and we might be able to agree, that consciously we don't choose our ethnicity or our gender or the country that we're born into. In fact, when I was growing up, there was this belief that my parents instilled in me that it is just dumb luck that I happen to be born in Canada, and that means I have a responsibility to make the most of the opportunities that I'm granted being born and raised where I was. And so if we want to consider that perhaps, at least consciously speaking, we didn't have control over what our general vehicle looks like, the vehicle of the soul, how proud are we going to be of that versus what, and the way I was taught, what I actually achieve, the effort that I put in, the responsibility I take for my own happiness, for my own successes, like how kind I am to other people, how loving I'm going to be to other people. Like, all of these are things that I have conscious control over. And it is better to feel good and to root my sense of self and my sense of identity in those things versus the things that I don't have control over. Now, I say all of this knowing that to some it may be controversial. I'm just going to put that out there. I know that because I know that there's that paradigm out there that believes we choose everything. And if that helps you, if that paradigm empowers you, then more power to you. But I know that this understanding at a young age really did help me a lot, because another thing that my parents taught me was that you can have anything you're willing to work for. You can have anything you're willing to work for. That's an idea that I'm going to come back to as we get into the later portion of this video as well, because that has been an incredibly empowering statement to me. It is a mantra that I've taken on in my life. I can have anything I'm willing to work for. It may not look the way that you think it's going to look. It may not come about exactly how you think. It may not come about exactly from where you think. But if you're willing to take responsibility for your life, for your happiness, for your successes, you really can have anything you're willing to work for. So that was another belief that they instilled in me. And so, having said all that, it is very powerful for us to take into consideration where it is that we feel the foundations of our life lie, where it is that the foundation of our patriotism lies, and what's going to define that, and how do we define that in the healthiest sense. Where is it now that perhaps the notion of patriotism itself has to evolve, and where is it going to evolve? Now, it's interesting because just before Canada Day in Canada, I will say we have a history, and I'm going to try to do it justice, but I'm only going to touch on it very briefly. And I want to thank Nicole Garceau for helping me to illuminate some of these ideas. Canada, like any nation, has a varied history, has moments of elation, moments of reflection, moments of sadness. We see this across the board throughout the world. And Canada is no exception to that. And very recently, there were unmarked graves found on the lands of former residential schools. Now, residential schools, what they are is the children of Indigenous families, of First Nations families, were taken and put into schools where they were meant to be indoctrinated, and their language and their religion was meant to be forgotten. And these ended up being spaces and places where a lot of cruelty took place. There are many people alive today who grew up in residential schools. In fact, the last residential schools in Canada were still around in the late 80s. I think the last one to close was at the beginning of the 90s. So really not that long ago at all. And so the fact that these graves have been found, these unmarked graves, these unknown graves on residential school land, well, this has been a point of reflection and sadness for many Canadians, regardless of whether or not they are from an Indigenous community, from a First Nations community or not. We see this sadness across the board. But this gives Canadians a chance to understand ourselves differently and to evolve the definition of what it means to be Canadian. So I say this as a Canadian, but I know that there are moments of reflection like this across countries at different points in time, at different historical periods. And I know that many Canadians right now are talking about how this can be a turning point moment for us to understand ourselves differently, to shift and evolve our identity accordingly. So again, I know I was very brief in that. I hope I gave it justice. I know that there's a lot more information out there, and I will try to find some resources and link to them below. And again, I thank Nicole for some of this understanding. And so we have this very beautiful new moon playing out. It is going to speak in harmony with Uranus. That's the evolution factor, but it's also going to speak in supreme harmony with Neptune. And that brings with it an opportunity for forgiveness, for spiritual understanding, for spiritual healing. This trine to Neptune can be the saving grace if we allow it. And again, I know I spoke very specifically about a Canadian example, but throughout the world, we may find ourselves looking towards our families, for example. Where within our families do we need to bring a spirit of healing? I will say, remember last week I was talking about Mars setting up a T-square with Saturn and Uranus, and that happening over the course of the weekend coming into this week, over the course of Canada Day weekend and 4th of July weekend, when barbecues are taking place and families are getting together for the first time. Well, where now do we need to look at the events of this long weekend and bring a spirit of understanding and bring a spirit of forgiveness? I have a feeling quite a few people out there might be feeling some of this. They might be feeling as a result of not seeing their families for a really long time and then seeing them and being really happy at first, and then all that T-square energy started kicking in. I have a feeling there are going to be some people out there who yes, I need to bring a healing understanding to my family, but healthy distance at that. That's part of Uranus as well. Uranus can be an energy that is removed, but part of what brings blessings with that removal is perspective. When we take that step back, when we're willing to elevate the energy, we don't need to be in an energy in order to elevate it. The willingness to see it more intellectually can help us to elevate a particular energy. And that may be part of the blessing of this new moon as well. So we've got this energy of forgiveness, of bliss, of baptism. That is part of Neptune also. But we've also got the energy of brilliance and new ideas of Uranus that can help us to see our own past differently, help us to see our families differently, our family dynamics, where we need to bring healing and take responsibility for the families that we not only come from, but also where it is perhaps that we repeated certain patterns even when we knew better. And as part of acknowledging that, resolve to do things differently so that we can change those family patterns, We can break certain karmic dynamics, and instead, the work that we've done to heal ourselves can heal generations because those patterns don't need to be continued beyond us. That may also be part of the blessing of this particular new moon energy. Now, I want to talk about some of the other energies playing out this week with Mercury and with Venus. I think Venus really is going to be a star now because of everything Venus is doing this week. If you remember, again, last week, Mars setting up a T-square with Saturn and Uranus. This week, it's Venus setting up that T-square. Whereas Mars is an energy of urgency and excitement, it is Venus that's a very different energy. She stands as contrast to Mars, mythologically speaking, where she is much more emotional, or at least much more reflective in energy. And so I feel like whereas last week the energy was so heightened, this week we get a chance to reflect more deeply. And part of that reflection is going to be on love. Love is very powerful. And I'm reminded of not only a conversation that I had with Stormie Grace recently, and I will link to it below. Stormie Grace is going to be speaking with the July speaker series. And so I always like to introduce you guys to the different teachers, even though so many of you know Stormie Grace. She's such a star. But also this is something that I like to teach my students at Kepler College as well. And that is that love will get you everything. It may not look the way you think it should look. It may not sound the way, it may not come when you want it to come, but love will get you everything. I truly do believe that being loving can get you everything. And Stormie Grace is a great example of this. And I thought about this when I looked at Venus in the sign of Leo, setting up this T-square with Uranus and with Saturn. So Uranus and Saturn are in orb of square, this conversation that's defining much of 2021 for so many of us out there, individually and collectively as well. But these are both very Aquarian energies. Uranus is the modern ruling planet of Aquarius, and Saturn is the traditional ruling planet of Aquarius in the sign of Aquarius. I spoke about this square at length about a month ago when it perfected for the second of 3 meetings that these planets are going to have over 2021. The next one will be towards the end of the year. But these T-squares, that first Mars last week and now Venus, are making sure that this energy continues in one way or another, continues to be known by us. And so with Stormie Grace, let me tell you, I love her. I love her for so many reasons. I love her for stepping up to the plate, coming through at the last minute when I really needed her to step in and teach this class with the July speaker series. I'm so proud of her. I'm proud of all the things and all the gains she's made. I have watched her start and grow and thrive and become the star that she is today in astrology. And she is someone who is welcoming in so many big opportunities right now within the astrology community. And it is very, very well deserved on her part. And so why is this? Why are these wonderful things happening for her? Why has she grown the way that she has? Well, a lot of it comes down to love. She's been very loving. She shares her platform. She interviews people. She's kind. She treats big dog astrologers the same way that she treats unknown astrologers and everybody in the middle. And she celebrates astrologers, and her astrology is rooted in love. Her interpretations are rooted in love, and love will get you everything. She has the work ethic to match the love that she brings, and so the sky is the limit for someone like her, and it's been so much fun, and I've absolutely loved and celebrated watching her just soar higher and higher. And so that's just one example, and there are many examples out there like this of people who root themselves in love, and so great things become possible. But love and wisdom is a constantly unfolding journey. And the truth is, as Stormie said in that interview, we're all on that path, right? We're all figuring out our way. We're all loving in our own way. Just, it isn't always obvious right away. And so I feel as I look at this energy of Venus in the sign of Leo, which is all about the big love and the love that's rooted in self and wanting to be respected and wanting to be acknowledged, which is sacred, right? Knowing that there is something within you that is worthy of shining and being seen as the higher spiritual lesson of the energy of Leo. And it is Venus that brings love to that higher spiritual lesson. And then we have all this Aquarian energy that's a lot more about humanitarian love. It doesn't do so well with that personal love. It wants to be part of everybody, part of the crowd. It doesn't necessarily want to stand out. And so how is it that we can integrate these energies? How is it that we can understand the self as an individual, but also the self as part of, as connected to each other? And where is it that we could be more loving to ourselves and to others as part of reaching others that much more? I think all of that is going to be highlighted for all of us in our own unique way as part of our own unique journey. And this might be a challenge to some people to own how loving they are, or to acknowledge where they could be more loving and to choose that path. And we are all on that journey, and we're never going to be perfect. None of us is ever going to be perfect at it. We are not the Buddha, where the Buddha was ready to reach nirvana, who reached nirvana actually, but chose to stay in his incarnation to help other people. We are not the Buddha. Like, we are, because we have the Buddha nature, but we have not yet reached nirvana, and we know this because we are in our bodies. We are incarnated. We are in the here and now. And because we are in this earth school, as it's been called by Gary Zukav, because we are in the earth school, it means that there's more to learn. And what is the higher learning of the earth school? It is always, always, how can we embody love and wisdom more and more fully? And again, we're never going to be perfect. The more we try to be perfect, the more we may falter. And so all we can do is our best. Look for more ways to be loving. Look for more ways to cultivate wisdom. Look for more ways to take ownership for the love that we will bring. And look for more ways in which how it is that whatever may be transpiring in our lives, instead of judging it as negative or positive or good or bad, how is it that instead we can use it? We can say, how is this part of my journey towards greater wisdom? How could this make me more loving? The other very important energy playing out this week is with Mercury. On Tuesday, Mercury will connect with Neptune in a square configuration. And this is the third connection that these two planets are going to have as part of the larger Mercury retrograde season. On the same day, Mercury will leave shadow, ending this larger doozy of a Mercury retrograde season that we have been in since mid-May. So now it's going to come to an end right around Tuesday, but it isn't going to feel like it's come to an end just yet. It may take a little bit, I think until we get to that new moon. It'll take at least until then. And that's because of Mercury needing to create space, needing to widen that orb, widen that connection to Neptune. Because Mercury and Neptune have been dancing so closely throughout this Mercury retrograde season. And so whatever happens now, right around Tuesday, give or take a day or two on either side, it will in some way reflect what was taking place in our lives way back in late May and in early June. In late May, we had the square, first perfection. In June, we had the second. Now, it was also in late May that Mercury was where he is now. So Mercury now is returning to that retrograde point. Whatever happens now, again, is going to reflect what was taking place for us back then. So with this Mercury retrograde season having taken place in the sign of Gemini, communications went that much more wonky. Communications are likely to be that much more wonky now as well. But this energy will pass. And so important conversations, important communications, text messages, emails, the likelihood of misunderstanding is that much higher. So make sure, again, try to root whatever it is that you're going to say or communicate or express in love and wisdom. You'll be that much more glad that you did, to the best of your ability, of course. Again, we're never going to be perfect. And if anything, I think this Mercury-Neptune square is designed to teach us just that we're never going to be perfect, especially in how it is that we may express ourselves, how it is we may understand each other. Miscommunication is a part of communication itself, but it helps us to value moments of clarity that much more. Sometimes we need confusion in order to appreciate the options that are available to us. Sometimes we need uncertainty in order to be that much more open to the possibilities of our lives. And I think that that is part of what this energy is meant to teach us, to surrender to the uncertainty. As Eckhart Tolle says, when you get comfortable with uncertainty, infinite possibilities open up in your life. And I think that is part of the potential and the possibility of this particular moment as we wrap up and come to an end of Mercury retrograde season. What I love about this week for us, well, look, it's a powerful astrological time, without a doubt. I love this new moon energy. I think it is so powerful and so beautiful and so promising. I love that it is filled with the promise of faith and forgiveness. I love the Uranian connection as well, because it tells me that there is evolution being promised to us at this time that can bring with it a genuine sense of fresh energy, a genuine sense of freedom. And where it is that we can redefine our past in a way that serves us well, we are that much more empowered. And we are that much more open to bringing forward the best versions of us, bringing forward the best versions of the past and of our ancestors and of where we've been, but also with an eye towards the future, to ensure that what could be done better is done better, to ensure that we choose the path of love and wisdom today and now and for the future, regardless of whether or not it's been chosen before. With our choice, with our decision, we can change generations simply by deciding to be more loving now. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys. And to prove it to you, here are some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up, who hits the notification bell. Every single one of you. It means so much to me. Thank you with all my heart. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff speaks to you and your sign, log on to NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. At NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, you can choose your membership rate as low as just $3 a month. Gets you access to expanded, exclusive video scopes for each and every sign, each and every week, for as low as just $3 a month. And higher tiers get you things like unlimited access to special horoscopes, class passes at Synchronicity University, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space. Click on the link in the description below to learn more, and I look forward to meeting you there at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Well, now I have a very, very big announcement. It is big for me, and it is deeply emotional to me. I am overcome as I think about this moment for me, and that I get to share it with you and celebrate it with you. It just means so very much to me. I was saying earlier that my parents taught me you can have anything that you're willing to work for, and how much that has been a mantra in my life, how much that has guided my life, and how grateful I am for that lesson and so many other lessons that I got. And I'm feeling that very strongly with this Cancer new moon approaching. That love for the positive messages, for the empowering messages that I got. And so I want to share with you that as much as I strive to stay in the moment, I'm an Aquarius. And so that means I have a part of me that's very visionary. And whenever it is that I have initiated something, there's always been, I would say always been, a larger vision, a bigger picture. And sometimes I write it down. I would say often I write it down. Sometimes I hold it very close in my heart, but it's always there. And sometimes it takes years. As I said earlier, if you're loving, opportunities are always there. Opportunities are abundant. I truly believe that the universe is abundant in opportunities. And we are so fortunate now that we live in a time when it is so easy to take ownership for whatever it is that you want your life to be. Wherever it is that you want more opportunity, however it is, it may not come exactly where you think it will or it should, but we all have access to the same tools. And because of those tools, just about any vision can be realized. And especially when we trust divine timing, as we do with astrology, great things become possible to us. And so, when I launched Synchronicity University way back, I believe it was 2015 when Synchronicity University launched, a part of the vision was always that one day I would have the most brilliant astrologers in the world teaching at my school. And last year, that vision became a reality, and now it's just a regular part of my school. I love that Synchronicity University brings teachers that are not only accomplished and big dogs and successful, but puts them side by side with people who maybe are up and coming, many people for whom this is their first big break. I love putting them on the same stage and part of the same series. And that mission of Synchronicity University has come to pass. It is real. It is now a regular part of Synchronicity University to have speakers. And I love that. When I started my YouTube channel almost 13 years ago, when you look at my early content, it was all around celebrating astrologers. In fact, my early content, really what I wanted to do was I wanted to interview astrologers, and I did. And I gave them a platform and I interviewed people. And back then there were so few astrologers on YouTube. Like, this is how far back we're going, like 10,000 years we're going. No, we're going back like 13 years, 12 years, 11 years. Very few astrologers on YouTube. And yet I had a vision, Synchronicity Web TV. I wanted to interview astrologers, and that's what I did. And it ended up inspiring a lot of people, and that meant so much to me. And a lot of those astrologers have come back around and said, I was the first person who really asked them questions, who took them seriously, and who gave them a platform, and how they've had more opportunity in their life and continue to, because I interviewed them so many years ago, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, 12 years ago. And that means so much to me. And so now, as I said, I'm overcome with emotion because this is a moment where another vision is being realized for me in my life, and it means so much to me. What I did with Synchronicity University, what I did with Synchronicity Web TV, I am now bringing to Synchronicity Publications. And I get to introduce the world to brilliant astrologers through books. I launched Synchronicity Publications way back in 2013, and it started as my own label to share my books with the world. I had worked with a couple of different book companies, and I went through that whole process, and I just found it to be not for me. I found that process to be something that I didn't want to be a part of or participate in, at least for now, and that's okay. And so it led to the launch of Synchronicity Publications. But even from the very beginning, my vision was always that I wanted to cultivate the voice of other creative people. I wanted to do with Synchronicity Publications what Louise Hay did with Hay House. And so Louise Hay is the author of You Can Heal Your Life, a very influential book in the New Thought movement. And she published that book through her own label, Hay House, and from there ended up introducing the world, cultivating talent, working with authors, and introducing the world to brilliant people like Wayne Dyer and so many other people. And my vision for Synchronicity Publications was the same, that one day I would do what Louise Hay did for Hay House with Synchronicity Publications, but for astrology. And now it starts. It starts. I get to introduce the world to one of the authors that I have been cultivating, along with other authors as well that I will introduce you to in the months ahead. But for now, the very first author, other than myself, on the Synchronicity Publications label is my dear friend, the very beautiful, the very, very brilliant, the very celebrated Ursula Robles. Now, Ursula Robles is a superstar in Mexico. She is incredibly accomplished. She's incredibly brilliant. And now here comes her book, Mayan Astrology. So this is a prototype, right? This is a prototype of that book. You should be able to see something that is closer to what the final cover will look like, even though if you've gotten books from Synchronicity Publications before, from me before, you know that I like to reveal these things in stages, right? First, I put out a little bit of an excerpt, then I put out more, and I share the book cover with you and all of that. So that's going to be forthcoming in the weeks ahead. But this is the prototype of the book, Mayan Astrology. How fitting, how perfect, how meaningful to me on so many levels. This means so much to me. It means so much to me because my vision is being realized. It means so much to me because I get to celebrate brilliant astrologers with you in a new way. I'm always thinking about ways in which to help astrology to be better than it was before, to align with greater love and greater wisdom. And I've done that through my school. I've done that through my channel, and I continue to do that. And now I get to do that through books, and Ursula being the first, but also Mayan astrology, so perfect. Because if you've watched me for a while, you know I've lived in Mexico for the last 8.5 years. This is mi casa de corazón. This is my home of the heart. And this is where I felt at home for the first time, possibly in my life, anywhere in the world. I have loved it here. I've been welcomed here. And part of what I loved from the very beginning was Mayan spirituality, the indigenous understanding of the sky. I had such love and enthusiasm for it. And Ursula is a world-renowned expert, if not the world-renowned expert in Mayan astrology. And so Ursula wrote a book in Spanish that didn't get published. And I said, give it to me, I'm going to publish this book. And I got the book translated, and then I added my own flair. I've added a foreword. She and I have gone back and forth for me to understand what different things mean as I've expanded on certain sections and so much more. And together, we ended up with this incredible new book called Mayan Astrology. Now, this book is currently available for advance sale. So these are advanced copies that are on sale now at synchronicitypublications.com. And with your advanced sale, you get about $250 worth of free gifts. So we're giving lots of free gifts. And only through July 4th weekend are we also having free shipping. Now there is a coupon code. I think it's free shipping. That is on the homepage of synchronicitypublications.com. If you use that code, you will get $10 off, and $10 is the shipping rate within the US and Canada. If you are international, you'll get that $10 off, which means you'll only end up paying $5 for shipping. So to get this book, again, this is the prototype, not the final copy, but to get this book shipped to you for free, plus $250 worth of free gifts. All of that is on offer right now through July 4th weekend. And you get to support the advancement of the mission of Synchronicity Publications. You get to support even more authors being cultivated and developed. And you get to support love and wisdom being at the forefront of astrology. And so this is the first book of what I hope is many books to come, what I believe. And, to me, I've said many times, and, we'll talk about this when I start talking about my upcoming course at Kepler College. What I do now, I was doing for free or very little money for the first 7 years of the 15 years that I have been a full-time astrologer. And for the first 7 years, I did live below the poverty line in Canada, but I didn't really feel it so much because I had the love and support of my parents, who didn't really understand, but they believed in me. And they helped to make incredible things possible in my life. They helped me to be where I am today, which is why the very first thing I did when my income was above the poverty line, the very first thing I did was buy them a house. Like, that was the priority. Make sure that they're happy in their later years because they gave me so much. And so now that I get to be in a space and a place where I get to live my dreams, it's so very rewarding for me. But it was never about the money, never. It was always about legacy. It was always about doing something to honor the best of my ancestors, but also live my life in my own way, according to my truth, to trust myself. Like, these were the guiding principles of my life then and continue to be now. And so this advancement of Synchronicity Publications, this sense of now beginning to share incredible authors with you, it's just the beginning, and it's going to continue, and it is a part of legacy. It is part of honoring my ancestors, and it is a part of putting love and wisdom in the world. And the fact that you're here for that, it just means so much to me. Thank you. Whether this is the first time you're watching me, whether you've been watching me for years, thank you. Thank you for being here to celebrate this incredible milestone with me. Another milestone of many that have been, and I hope many more to come. So again, Mayan astrology right now through July 4th weekend, free shipping is available. After that, shipping rate will go to the normal rate, which is $10 US and Canada, or $15 international. And even then, it's a great deal because you get $250 worth of free gifts along with your advanced purchase. Now, the book is going to be available for sale everywhere. It's going to be given to the world November 11th, 2021. So way in November. These books, the advanced copies, are going to ship out at the end of September. So there is some time, but if you want to take advantage of this free shipping offer, that is this weekend, and I hope that you will, and thank you. Thank you for your love and your support and your celebration of astrology and your celebration of Mayan astrology in particular, and thank you. Synchronicity University July Speaker Series is right around the corner. It starts this week. Now, the Choose Your Tuition rate has been extended through July 4th weekend because Stormie came on last minute. So because of that change, I decided to extend that $5 a class, Choose Your Tuition rate, the unheard of rate of $5 a class. So if you're watching this at the beginning of the week, you should be able to take advantage of that. However, the classes are going to go on, and they're still a really great value, even if you're paying the $35 regular rate. And that starts this week with the first of two as part of a two-part workshop on tarot and astrology by the very brilliant Ursula Stockder. And so that class is coming up this week. So you can check out all the amazing classes that are coming up, this two-part astrology and tarot workshop. We've also got Cameron Allen. He's going to be teaching on holistic health and astrology, the signs as medicine. We're going to have the very brilliant Hood mystic Kyree teaching on chakra astrology. He wrote a book on that. That's going to be very powerful. I love his online content. I love how he shares about the shadow and reincarnation and integrating the shadow and so much incredible stuff online. And so I'm really happy to celebrate him. And of course, the one and only Stormie Grace, superstar Stormie Grace, is going to be rejoining Synchronicity University, looking at Saturn through the houses. So to learn more, to sign up individual classes, or to grab that choose your tuition rate at the last moment, link is in the description below, or visit synchronicityuniversity.com. Now, I've mentioned my upcoming class with Kepler College. Now, the great thing is Kepler College is extending availability. So before it was limited to 30, they and I talked and we said, okay, let's make it 40 because we know the class is going to fill up. We're about halfway to full right now. And so this class is expected to sell out. It involves mentorship from me, and we go through like everything you can imagine where it comes to your understanding of how and what I learned over the course of 15 years so that you don't have to have the first 7 years below the poverty line. And so I talk about the business side of stuff in a way that I don't talk about outside of this particular course, because again, I don't believe that that's what it's really about. I feel like a lot of these things are an illusion, right? But you can have fun with the illusion, enjoy the illusion, right? Have the designer bag if you want, but it isn't about that. And so I like to celebrate all of it and enjoy all of it and enjoy my life. That's why I started all of this, was to do work that felt deeply rewarding to me and felt like my calling. And so if I can be some part of that journey for you, that would be so rewarding for me. And so this course at Kepler College, join us, because we go through so much of everything you need: the practical, the prosperity, the how to set up the channel. And you don't have to be an astrologer to join us. Any spiritually oriented business is very, very welcome. Everything from like what your chart says about the best approach for you, to the things that I have learned, all the different ways and all the different pieces that you can put together so that you too can thrive and doing work that you love. Well, all of that is going to be here. So I hope that you will join us at Kepler College. Link is in the description below. And very quickly, Synchronicity University is in full effect. The summer school is in full effect, and this coming week we are going to have pet astrology. It promises to be very popular, very successful. I think a lot of people are going to love this class. We are going to go through understanding the astrology of your pet and also look at the special case of rescues as well. And we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. So if you'd like insight into your pet, into your familiar, astrological insight at that, well, you can join us at synchronicityuniversity.com. Link is in the description below. Lots of incredible classes coming up this summer, and I hope that you will join us. Another learning opportunity coming up is at astrologyconference.ca, the Canadian Astrology Conference. Now, I will be presenting for the very first time a brand new topic. I'm going to be talking about Alan Leo, esoteric astrology, how he was the bridge between ancient and modern astrology and what it is today. The nerd in me is going to come out and celebrate. I think you're going to enjoy it a lot. Now, the great thing about the Canadian Astrology Conference is that it is in Canadian dollars, which means if you're American, you get a huge discounted rate. You get like this wonderful rate for joining some brilliant minds in astrology today, including Demetria George, very famous astrologer. So I hope that you'll check that out. Link is in the description below. And finally, you can get my take on your unique birth chart by logging on and checking out my partnership with Cosmogram. Link is in the description below. You go onto the Cosmogram website, you enter in your birth data, and within hours, you will get a computer-generated printout of your chart and my interpretation of the different placements in your chart. Thank you so much to everybody who's loved and supported this particular endeavor. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for your trust. Thank you for your loving feedback. All of it means so much. So again, if you want my take on your unique birth chart, check out my partnership with Cosmogram. Link is in the description below. And thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for celebrating so many milestones with me, so many changes, so much growth, and the continuation of my personal mission. which is to affirm a wise and loving universe. And I will always find ways to do that. And I will always bring in other people to help me to do that as well, as I have from the very beginning. And wow, like this moment is just huge for me, I have to tell you, because it is like, I remember when I think about this, I think about what my parents taught me. You can have anything you're willing to work for. And I believe all things have their own time. And this is the time, this is the time. And I'm ready to really continue to expand and continue to grow. It starts as the seed, and it started as the seed 15 years ago. And there's always new ways to grow. And it is the great privilege for me. It is a great privilege for me that you are here and a part of that growth. Truly, your love, your support, your trust, your encouragement, all the ways in which you support my work, whether it is that you watch my YouTube video, whether it is that you sign up to be a superstar for $3 a month, whether it is that you leave a loving comment, or you're a student at Synchronicity University, or you're buying my books, all those different things, all the different ways in which you show your love and support, from a view to a thumbs up, all the way to whatever else you think there is. Each and every one of you, just thank you. Thank you. You've made incredible things possible in my life. You've made so many dreams come true because you see me as some part of your sacred journey. For that, I am so, so grateful. And you are part of mine. You are part of my sacred journey. And for that, I am so grateful. So thank you. And thank you again for watching. Enjoy the new moon. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.